From the King George's Estates, outside of downtown Port St. Lucie, Florida, good Monday evening, everybody, and welcome back to KC and 60 right here on DarpaTV.com. Kevin Canessa here with you for the next hour and a half or so, and to all of our regular customers, I welcome you back to the program, and to anybody who may be here for the first time, welcome. You won't be here for very long. Of course, I started off the program today with something that happened 3 years ago today. The first 4 videos that you saw today debuted this week back in 2009 when Darpa TV was, as it was known back then, Shovio.com. At 11 o'clock on that first morning, it was the Jeff Katz show, followed by Goomba Johnny at 1 o'clock, and then the Radio Chick at 3, Sid Rosenberg at 5, and thus was born what we now know as Darpa TV, but what was then known as Shovio.com. It was a brainchild of a bunch of people who got together and said, let's take some of this great new technology, put it together, and make a television radio hybrid network where people would be able to call in to the shows, be part and interact with the hosts using a webcam. This happened 3 years ago, probably was started even, the idea came together many years before that, but it took some time to put all the technology together, and finally in 2009, Shovio.com was born under the technical work of J.J. Astro. Greg is his real name, and Bertika Astro back in 2009 in conjunction with Leslie Gold, who most of you, if you are familiar with this network or with the radio, are known more affectionately as the Radio Chick. When they put together Shovio.com at first, the idea was to bring some professional broadcasters in. And in that first couple of months, there certainly were some wonderful professional broadcasters. And I'm going to get into that more on Thursday when we have the official funeral. And I'm hoping, I know Sid Rosenberg has already he told me that he will come on the show with us on Thursday. I do have emails out to Jeff. I have emails out to Goomba Johnny, the Radio Chick, also to Kareth Foster, Doug Miles, Mark Zito, and some others who were with us along the way when things got together back in 2009 and 2010. So I know for sure Sid will be with us on Thursday, but they put together this great network with so many wonderful opportunities for broadcasting excellence. And for a long period of time, that's what you got. You had an opportunity to see some great professional broadcasters who did shows on this network, and then also people who got their start on this network. People like myself, like Joel the Mouth, like Zach Gelb, and people who did shows on a regular basis here. Chop Shop TV, the Check On It guys. There were people. Chop Shop TV has been here since the very beginning. In fact, the longest standing, consistently run program here on Darpa TV and Shovio going back. So there were just some wonderful things that happened over the last couple of years, and we'll reminisce about that more on Thursday. But in case you haven't heard, if you don't know yet, we got emails over the weekend from JJ and Bertika, who run the website, that Darpa TV will be shutting down for good on Sunday of this week. For those of us who have been here from the very beginning and who put in a lot of time volunteering and a lot of effort into making this site successful, this news was just a smack in the face, especially by the way it was delivered, because they didn't even have the decency to write individual emails or pick up the telephone to tell people who were involved in this situation for many years that the site was getting shut down. Instead, they just sent out one form email that was no more than 4 lines saying thank you for all the time and the broadcasting and the fun that we had. For some, it was a little bit more than just fun, because we put a lot of time and effort into getting things done and to making things work here. And unfortunately, they chose a very shitty way of announcing that this was all coming to a close. It would have taken a couple of minutes to pick up the damn phone or to send out some personalized emails instead of sending a form email to people who have been around here for very long and who put a lot of time and a lot of hours and effort into seeing this succeed. Unfortunately, it didn't. And part of the reason it didn't succeed is because people out there just weren't willing or I guess willing is the word. They didn't want to take the risk of spending money for advertising on something like Shovio or Darpa TV. It just never, ever really came to fruition, unfortunately. And unfortunately, for those who put in a lot of effort and a lot of time into this, it was unbelievable. It's just remarkable that after 3 years, nothing really changed. I mean, and you can understand. If you're the proprietor of a website like that, it must be very, very frustrating when you put out your own money, or for that matter, the money of investors who probably will never see the money back that was put into the investment, and not get anything in return. Very, very disappointing. Very, very disappointing in that regard. The good things that came out of this were that some careers were born. Some careers were absolutely born on DarpaTV.com, and I'm convinced that in a few months you're going to see some people who got their start here on the terrestrial radio or doing some big things on the internet or on satellite radio. You think about what Joel is doing right now, what I've done, and what Zach has done over the last couple of years. Zach is now doing radio on Temple University's campus. Joel continues to grow on a daily basis, and I hope to do something as well. So even though this is ending very abruptly, so many good things came out of Darpa TV. But we'll talk about more of that on Thursday, and of course we'll also talk about where we're going to go. And I'm going to explain to you just quickly that as much as over the years when other people have tried to go from this network to another network, it's been difficult for people to make that navigation. I want you to know it's really not going to be very, very hard, at least where it comes to my program and for Joel the Mount's program. Instead of going to DarpaTV.com, as you have on a regular basis, the difference now is that you're going to go to FanforumNetwork.com. There'll be plenty of time. I'll put the website in the chat room during the break. But what we decided to do is we're going to broadcast our shows, the Fan Forum and KC and 60, using the Fan Forum Network as the launching site, so that there's a centralized place that everybody can go to see all the shows. And there will be others as well as time goes on. We hope to really incorporate this into something big, or bigger to say. But if you go to FanforumNetwork.com, what we're going to do is we're going to embed a high-definition broadcast using the Stickam.com network. Now, we've spent the last 3 weeks testing this, and the Stickam.com network is great in several regards. Number one, you can broadcast in full 1080p high definition. We're going to broadcast in 720p high definition, 1280 by 720. And instead of seeing what you see right now, when I'm on the air or when Joel is on the air, you're going to see very clear, much clearer pictures of us. We're going to use something called Wirecast to broadcast, which means that we'll still be able to show you videos at times. We will still be able to show you and play audio clips as well, and show pictures as needed. And all of them will be basically resting in our desktop instead of uploading them to servers, which is what we've done over the last couple of years. Now, in addition to broadcasting to Stickam.com, we are also going to broadcast in a lower fidelity to Ustream.com using Wirecast. The beauty of Wirecast is it takes up very, very little bandwidth, and you can broadcast to multiple locations. Now, the reason we've decided to broadcast both to Stickam and to Ustream.com is because that by broadcasting to Ustream, those of you who are fans of my program or of Joel's, or for that matter, any program that we ultimately decide we're going to broadcast on FanforumNetwork.com, you can listen to and or watch these programs on a mobile device in absolute clarity in ways that you haven't been able to do up to this point. Ustream has a marvelous iPhone app, and it has an incredibly powerful Android app. And we've tested this over the last couple of weeks, and you can seriously watch using a 3G connection from your mobile device, if you have unlimited mobile, to any of the programs that we're going to put forth. And you can do it while you're out and about. You don't have to be at home, and you don't have to necessarily be sitting down at the phone watching it, because what we're envisioning and we're hoping, because a lot of people do this now using different types of broadcasting mobile software for the radio, like the TuneIn app, is that when you get in a car, if you happen to be going somewhere but you enjoy the show, that you log on to using the Ustream app, plug it into your radio, and just drive along. And you can listen to everything as you're mobile, as you're out and about and traveling in your vehicles or your work vehicles, your work trucks, no matter where it is, if you have an input jack. It's that simple. And that's why we decided we wanted to use the Ustream application to continue to broadcast. And Chip, thank you very much. And I hope you continue doing your show, too, with your son, because what you're doing is just fantastic. It really is. And to see a fellow Met fan, of course, doing a program is wonderful. Chip does a show. Chip Ambrosia does a show. He's a comedian, and he does a show normally on Thursday nights here on DarpaTV.com. He is just a fantastic guy, and I hope you guys continue doing your program, too. So with that said, we will be broadcasting on FanforumNetwork.com. We're going to have the app. This is all going to start a week from today on the 15th, and you'll be able to listen and watch the programs just as you did here on DARPA TV on your mobile phone, and you'll be able to watch it just as you can on FanforumNetwork.com. I understand it's going to be a little bit different because people are used to just going to one place like you do here on DARPA TV, and you just be able to sit down and watch a program. You don't have to log in if you don't want to. And you don't have to do that either with Stickcam. If you want to chat, if you want to be able to chat, you can certainly do that too. But in order to log in, you can use a Facebook page, you can use Twitter, most people have that, or if not, you can just simply log in with a username and a password from Stickcam that takes about 30 seconds to put together. So here's the bottom line to all this. Yes, DARPA TV is dying. Yes, today is sort of the beginning of a week-long wake for what was DARPA TV and what was Shovio.com. But we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. And as disappointed as we are in the fact that this website that has meant so much to so many for a long period of time will be no longer, we will continue to do what we do, bring you the best that we possibly can, and we'll do it in a different setting. That's the only different thing. Yeah, you can log in from FanforumNetwork.com, but you have to use a Stickcam login in order to chat. That's the thing. Or you can use a Facebook or a Twitter. I'll explain it to you. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'll put together a video during the course of the week to show you how to navigate around FanforumNetwork.com. It's actually pretty easy. So that's the thing. I don't want anybody to be scared away by this. When a couple of years ago, when I moved my show for a couple of weeks to Ustream.com, I came right back because a lot of people were afraid to use Ustream. They weren't sure about logging in and accounts and all this other stuff. But it's really actually pretty easy. And I'll explain all that once we get to it during the course of this week. And don't forget, Joel's going to continue to do his shows here on DARPA TV this week, and I will too. And it's all going to culminate for me on Thursday night at 8 p.m. when we do a retrospective of the last 3 years of DARPA TV, when we have back some of the professional broadcasters who were here back at the start. As I said, Sid Rosenberg will be with us at one point in time. I am hoping to get Jeff Katz, Goombah Johnny, Carol Foster, and of course Leslie Gold, the radio chick here. Mark Zito can't make it, unfortunately, because you guys remember Mark, the brilliant guy from Syracuse University. He's not going to be able to make it. He's going to be traveling at the time, so he won't be able to make it. And Doug Miles may join us too. I might be able to do a pre-recording with Doug Miles, who did a show here for a while. So we should have a lot of fun on Thursday night. But for now, that's where it stands. That's how we're going to go ahead and do this. And we're going to do a regular program tonight for the next 40 minutes to talk to you a little bit about the world of news, a little bit about the world of sports, and anything that may be on your mind. So if you are around and you would like to participate tonight, please do by clicking the lips and getting yourself in on the webcam. And if you're here tonight and you're here Thursday, I certainly would like to hear from as many of you as possible as we pull the plug on things on Thursday night. So hopefully you can prepare to call in either on telephone, which I'll give you the number for on Thursday, or by webcam. 20 minutes past the hour. Canessa here with you on KC and 60. We're going to take the first of two DARPA TV breaks. When we come back, we'll hit the news, including some breaking news from Jerry Sandusky here on KC and 60. Do not go away. Lots to get to. Be right back. It's 21 past the hour. Canessa back with you here on KC and 60 on this Monday evening. Just taking a look at the chat. Are you doing a show? Oh, fuck. I forgot about that. Well, I think the vice presidential debate's at 9, so maybe I need to do 7 to 9 because I want to see that vice presidential debate. Thank you, Rob. I hope it's not at 8 o'clock. Well, yeah, that's true. We can just put on the DVR. That's a good point, too, Frog. It'll be just as awful for Mr. Ryan on a DVR as it will be watching it live, so we can do that. Now, it's breaking news today out of Pennsylvania. The guy who we have all referred to as the monster, the man who has put his hand on the genitals of more children than anybody who we can remember in recent history, is about to be sentenced tomorrow. Of course, that man is Jerry Sandusky. And if you could believe it, the nerve of this guy, he and his lawyers today put together a statement so that Sandusky could address the jury that is about to sentence him, hopefully to life in prison. And what he had to say in this statement just blows the mind. If you have not seen this yet, you are in for a surprise right now. So take a look at this, courtesy of Channel 10 in South Jersey, Philadelphia, about Jerry Sandusky and his statement from a prison cell.
Breaking news on NBC 10 News at 6 o'clock. On the eve of Jerry Sandusky's sentencing, the convicted child molester speaks from behind bars. And NBC 10 is the only TV station to bring you that audio. NBC 10's John Clark is following this breaking story. John joins us live now with the statement. John?
Yeah, as you said, Jerry Sandusky will be sentenced tomorrow, and he wanted to get his words out today. And boy, did these words come out. A 3-minute statement in his jail cell. A jailhouse statement from Jerry Sandusky, and this is basically the first time we have heard from him since that infamous Bob Costas interview. Here we go.
Okay. I'm responding to the worst loss of my life. First, I looked at myself. Over and over, I asked why. Why didn't we have a fair opportunity to prepare for trial? Why have so many people suffered as a result of false allegations? What's the purpose? Maybe it will help others. Some vulnerable children who could be abused might not be as a result of all the publicity. That would be nice, but I'm not sure about it. I would cherish the opportunity to become a candle for others as they have been a light for me. They can take away my life. They can make me out as a monster. They can treat me as a monster, but they can't take away my heart. In my heart, I know I did not do these alleged disgusting acts. My wife has been my only sex partner, and that was after marriage. Our love continues. A young man who is dramatic, a veteran accuser, and always sought attention, started everything. He was joined by a well-orchestrated effort of the media, investigators, the system, Penn State, psychologists, civil attorneys, and other accusers. They won. I've wondered what they really won. Attention, financial gain, prestige will all be temporary. Before you blame me, as others have, look at everything and everybody. Look at the preparation for the trial and the trial. Compare it to others. Think about what happened, why, and who made it happen. Evaluate the accusers and their families. Realize they didn't come out of isolation. The accusers were products of many more people and experiences than me. Look at their confidants and their honesty. Think about how easy it was for them to turn on me, given the information, attention, and potential perks. I never labeled or put down them or their families. I tried and I cared, then asked for the same. Please realize all came to the second mile because of issues. Some of those may remain. We will continue to fight. We didn't lose to proven facts, evidence, accurate locations, and times. Anything can be said. We lost to speculation and stories that were influenced by people who wanted to convict me. We must fight unfairness, inconsistency, and dishonesty. People need to be portrayed for who they really are. We've not been complainers. When we couldn't have kids, we adopted. When we didn't have time to prepare for a trial, we still gave it our best. We will fight for another chance. We have given many second chances, and now we'll ask for one. It will take more than our effort. Justice will have to be more than just a word. Fairness be more than just a dream. It will take others. somebody apolitical with the courage to listen, to think about the unfairness, to have the guts to stand up and take the road less traveled. I ask for the strength to handle everything and the willingness to surrender only to God, regardless of the outcome.
That statement today, courtesy of comradio.psu.edu. You can go on their website to hear more, or NBC10.com. We'll have a lot more, of course, on his statement tonight at 11 o'clock. That was Jerry Sandusky, a jailhouse statement today, one day before his sentencing. I'm John Clark. Back to you, Renee.
Amen to that, Frog. It should be Con Radio. I mean, I have heard criminals speak before. I have heard victims speak before, but never have I heard the criminal speaking as if he was the ultimate victim here. In essence, what he said in his statement tonight is that a bunch of guys got together. How many? We don't know. There are so many who have accused him now, it's impossible to keep track of just how many there are. But what he's basically saying is that a bunch of guys got together and came up with this elaborate story that Jerry Sandusky was a sexual predator and a sexual monster, and that he sexually assaulted them, touched their genitals, sexually accosted them in their anuses, and did all these things, but that none of it is true. And that not just these guys who came up and made these things up, guys like Mike McQueary, too. People like Mike McQueary were just a bunch of liars. And that he came up with this incredibly elaborate story about how he walked in and saw Jerry with his penis in the rear end of a young boy slapping his rear end at the same time while this was all going on in a locker room at Penn State University. That's all made up, too. That's basically what Jerry Sandusky is saying here. That so many people hated him for whatever reason, that they all collaborated, and they're all a bunch of losers and a bunch of morons, and they all decided one day, we're going to get together and we're going to find a way to get even with Sandusky for all those awful things that he did, and we're going to just make up these incredible stories about how he just sexually abused every boy he could get his hands on, and then do it in the locker room, and then do it at football games, and at camps, and at his house, and in his basement, and in their bedrooms, in their own homes, all that stuff. All of it is just made up. All of it is just made up. It is unfathomable that that statement is going to be played tomorrow when he is sentenced, hopefully, to life in prison. But I guess when you are pathological, when you are a psychopath, as he is, and let's not fail to recall this, that Jerry Sandusky is a complete and utter psychopath, with some of the most psychopathic tendencies you'll ever see in a criminal. That when you take to that, and that is who you are, and that's the type of affliction that you have, that you start to believe all the things that you want to be true. And you start to really accept the reality and think that the reality of things is just completely the opposite of the truth. Jerry Sandusky truly believes he's a victim here. You heard it in his own words. We need a second chance. We never got justice. These people are just awful people who got together, who have a history of making shit up. I mean, this guy's for real, folks. That's the part of this that is most disturbing, is that every single thing that Jerry Sandusky said today, he truly believes. And he really thinks that these people got together and did this. And he really thinks they got together to screw him over. I mean, that's just as simple as I can put it. And yet, all those people whose lives were shattered, whose lives were changed because this guy was a complete and utter monster, they're all not victims. They're really the perpetrators, he thinks. And all the things that they've gone through, they're the ones who are sick in the head. They don't know what the hell they're doing most of the time. That's what he truly believes. That, my friends, is the most disgusting thing. And I truly hope that when everything comes together, when everything comes down tomorrow, that he finds himself at the wrong end or the right end of justice, and that they decide that he's going away for the rest of his life. I hope, if this man ever sees the light of day again, is there any doubt in your mind? Because there's no doubt in my mind, folks. I have no doubt whatsoever that this guy would do it again. If given the opportunity and given the right circumstances, I think most sex predators from what I understand from what I've read about sex predators, what I've seen, I don't want to say from Law & Order SVU, but they do use a lot of factual basis for what they do, that many sexual-based offenders, as much as you try to rehabilitate them, if they have a proclivity to something, pedophilia, as Sandusky has, they can't be healed. They can't be healed. And that's why I'm afraid if he doesn't get a full life sentence, that the moment he gets out, he's going to do it again. You can't tell me you'd be surprised if he did. Looking in the chat room, Frog said, kill all child rapists. They have 100% recidivism. And that is correct, really. I mean, I would imagine that most sex predators are completely recidivists who wind up going back to prison and who repeat their offenses, because no matter how hard you try, no matter what you do to rehabilitate them, it just can't be done. And Jerry Sandusky, my friends, is the greatest example of a predator, a monster, a sick human being who would no doubt himself be a recidivist. It is 32 minutes past the hour. Cadets here with you on KC and 60. What we're going to do also over the last couple of shows that we do here on Darpa TV is, of course, reminisce a little bit and go back and look at some great moments in Shovio and Darpa TV history. And I've pulled together some of the classics that you've seen before, of course, here on this program and different spots. And, of course, this is one of my all-time favorite moments that happened on Shovio. Take a look at this, and, of course, if you don't know the whole story, I'll explain it to you on the other side.
On the wall, a lady doesn't cheat on you with other guys' cocks or suck on some other guy's balls. So
well, those kids were stupid. Because that was garbage, talking about stupid things, by the way. That's the program director and allowed that. That was stupid too, by the way.
That is a promo. That is a promo. You're an idiot. Oh, it's taking off the dummy? Come on. Oh. Now we got puppets on here. Oh my God. What is going on here today? Look at this. I got no stories, so I gotta go with this, man. Got no stories today. Is that Jesse Helms? Who is that? No, it's Walter. Oh, where are you from? Oh my God. Go ahead, Mr. Sock.
I'm bald and my beard is white.
You are on fire today, bro. You are on fire. I love it.
So I'll just tell you a quick background about that video that you just saw. This was, of course, in the early days of Shovio, and when the Professional Network was on. Leslie Gold was going to give this puppeteer a chance to do a show, and for a half hour, he did a show on the Professional Channel and was nothing short of just awful. I mean, when I tell you that this guy was, all he did was sing these songs, these parody songs, and they were just vile, and they were awful, and just nasty and downright demeaning and all this other stuff. But there was actually a thought at one point that this guy could actually get a show on the program. In small doses, it was actually kind of funny. Frog, I don't know if you remember that, but that is indeed, yeah, it was. It just wasn't the right fit for here, though. That kind of stuff was, as Frank said, it's a great type of act for Vegas. And that day after the program, unrehearsed, without any prepping, it was Zach Gelb and Timmy Gillette and Kat and who am I forgetting? I just saw the damn video and I can't remember. And Brad, who all came together, had their own sort of puppets ready to go for my show that was an hour later. And I don't know if I ever laughed harder than I did that day on KC and 60. It was just so unrehearsed and so spontaneously funny, making fun of this puppet. Now, Frank brings up another name, too, that we haven't heard in a while. It's Brendan Baker. Brendan Baker was another young kid. In fact, he was the very first face ever seen on a showcast for Showvio.com when he did a sports show of his own. And boy, oh boy, what a pleasure it is right now. I'm going to stop what I'm talking about and welcome in our man from Los Angeles, California, Carmine Cabron. And though I'm not screaming his name the way Joel the Mouth normally does, we come together with Carmine tonight with a heavy heart for Carmine, who lost his grandfather last week. And it's good to see you, buddy. That's about the strongest thing I could say right now. You've been in our thoughts. You've been in our prayers. We've all missed you very much. And if there's anything that anybody can do for you, you know we're here for you. So sad to hear about the loss of your grandfather. And so good to see you back here after what had to be a very, very difficult time for you, buddy. So you are all in our thoughts. You are all in our prayers, and it's so good to have you back because we missed you, bro. We really did. So there he is. That's Carmine Cabron from the barrios of Los Angeles, California, who I played in fantasy football this week. So it's always good to have him back and seeing him in good spirits. I hope you are in good spirits because we missed you very, very much. I mean, you gotta realize something, Carmine. There's only two people who could go missing for a long period of time and people be concerned about it. That's Frog Hill and you. When you're gone for a long period of time, it's noticed, and people were like seriously asking questions and wondering where the hell's my essay, and we're glad that you're okay for now. Just wish it were under different circumstances that you'd gone away. So, and people, of course, were joking around and saying that you were probably, I don't want to say like visiting Alcatraz or anything like that, but they're of course their usual jovial selves and joking around about the man, the myth and the legend in Mr. Cabron. So it's good to have him back. 39 minutes past the hour. Canessa here with you on KC and 60 on DarpaTV.com. One of the last shows that I will ever do on this network. And, of course, don't forget, coming up on Thursday night, I may change the time from 7 to 9, but it's scheduled for 8 to 10. We're going to look back at 3 years of Showvio.com and DarpaTV.com and sort of, I don't want to say put a funeral together for the website, but that's basically what it's going to be because we're saying goodbye to DarpaTV.com on Sunday as it's the last day that this broadcasting network will be in existence. And Carmine just saying back at you, you're great. Carmine, you are too, bro. The loyalty that you show is great. The two, you and the Frog. I mean, I have a very nice sized audience tonight, but I mean, two of the most loyal guys you're going to find. Add Tom O'Connell to that list, and Brad, and some of these other guys who we'll hopefully see on Thursday. We are very lucky, very, very lucky to have you. We're going to take the second of 2 DARPA TV breaks. When we come back, I'm going to show you a couple of videos as to why I believe the people of the United Kingdom are lucky to have the political system that they do, and that if only we followed their lead, we'd be better off and we'd have much cleaner campaigns. And there's one thing in particular that's very, very shocking about the British system of campaigning that is completely different from the way we do things here in the United States. And when you see this clip of Prime Minister David Cameron on the David Letterman show, you'll understand precisely what I'm talking about. So don't go away. I'll be back in a couple of seconds. KCN60 on DarpaTV.com. Be right back. 41, almost 42 minutes past the hour. Canessa back with you here on KC in 60. Before we went to the break, I mentioned that I have the sense that the UK form of government is much stronger than ours, and that they sort of get it when it comes to campaigning. And where it really hit me was when I saw this great interview that David Cameron, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, gave to the one and only David Letterman the other night. Now, watch this video, but on the other end of the video, I'm going to talk to you about this one statistic that Cameron throws out about commercials in political campaigns in the United Kingdom, where I believe if we were to follow suit, we'd be much, much, much better off. Take a look at this from the Letterman show the other night.
When you ran, you took office in 2010, am I correct about that? Well, and you ran, you stood for election. How long did that process take?
Well, we have this system where you run for the leadership of your party, and I did that in 2005. And we have this strange thing in Britain, which works well actually, called the leader of the opposition. So if the Conservatives are in power, Labour are the opposition, and you have a leader of the opposition. So I spent 5 years between 2005 and 2010 as the leader of the opposition. That gives you a sort of place in Parliament. You take part in that thing. I know some people in the US watch Prime Minister's Questions, where we beat the bells out of each other at 12 o'clock on a Wednesday. Actually, when we were coming to New York and meeting Mike Bloomberg, and we were walking down the street, and of course everyone was coming up to Mike and saying, "Mike, you're doing a great job, we love your work." And of course I was leader of the opposition, I had a clue. And eventually someone said, "Hey, Prime Minister's Questions, we love your show." That's the answer.
Yeah, but my point is, these were in the middle, we're very close to the end of a presidential election, and the numbers that I was given a couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 billion by the Democrats have been raised, a like amount by the Republicans. I may be off by $1 billion. I mean, honest to God, and it's been going on for 2 years. Now, you talk about feeding hungry people, not only in the United States, but why? I mean, you didn't spend anywhere near that kind of money, did you?
It's a really big difference between us. We don't allow political parties to advertise on television, so that massively cuts the cost of... I've never uttered the words, "I'm David Cameron and I approve this message." So, this figure will really, really amaze you. In order to become leader of the Conservative Party, which is one of the oldest political parties anywhere in the world, I fought a big campaign, had to travel all over the United Kingdom to win that campaign. I was allowed to spend the whole of whatever it was, 4 or 5 months, $150,000. That was the limit on campaign finance. So,
I don't know. I don't understand it.
So there are lots of similarities in our politics.
It's all about control. It's all about political control from people outside of politics, isn't it? In the United States. If I contribute to a PAC billions and billions of dollars, then maybe that will get your attention if you're elected.
Well,
Isn't that how it works?
Well, we still have to raise money, and there are always questions about how parties raise money. So it's still a controversial issue, but the scale is just nothing like what you have here in the U.S.
Did you see the King's speech?
This film?
Yeah. Just you sound like the guy in the film. Well, and are you doing well? Are you popular in the...
Not very popular at the moment, no. Because
really?
We're doing
this is where you want to be. This is exactly where you want to be.
We're doing, we got this big budget deficit, so we had to do a lot of cuts. We had to make a lot of difficult decisions, so that makes you unpopular.
Yeah. And then you got a cat, too, I understand.
Yeah. You've got...
This is number 10 Downing Street. What a lovely sounding address that is. And there's a little cat out there. What's the deal on the cat? The cat was hired.
The cat was a rescue cat, so it was in a cat's home, and the cat's called Larry, and he's charming.
Larry the cat.
But he is. I'm afraid. I hope he's not watching this show. But
I hope he is. All right, Mr. Prime Minister.
He is a hopeless mouser. Absolutely.
Is there a chance that he'll be replaced?
He's been added to. He's got a friend.
You got a staff. Well, he's got a
Frere.
staff now. That's good.
Two.
Good. What's the other one's name?
Frere.
Frere. Okay.
And one of them is called a mouse, but I don't think it's Larry.
One mouse.
There was.
It's been. I hope I haven't been too annoying.
It's been great.
It's great fun and great pleasure to meet you.
Continued
success. Thank you very much. Prime Minister David Cameron, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back with Johnny Lee Miller.
$150,000 David Cameron was allowed to spend in 2010 to become the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. One of the oldest monarchies and one of the oldest forms of government still standing. $150,000. They don't allow TV ads. To me, that just makes the most sense in the world. I mean, if you think about it, when you consider the availability of information in this country, there's no need for television ads. We don't need to be bombarded by these constant ads. I mean, when I tell you that the major networks, ABC, NBC, CBS here, we are part of the Palm Beach, Florida market, that 3 out of every 4 commercials are either Barack Obama, Mitt Romney, Alan West, or Patrick Murphy. I'm not kidding. It's gotten to the point where I'm at a point where I don't want to vote because I'm so sick of seeing these mugs and seeing these guys lying about each other, because they're all doing it. West is lying about Murphy. Murphy is lying about West. The Obama commercials are absurd. The Romney commercials are absurd. Why not come up with a system like in the United Kingdom where they're not allowed on TV? Just go about it. Go out and campaign. Let it get your sound bites on the news, but enough of the damn commercials. Oh, my God. To me, just a phenomenal way of doing things. And now there's a man who I want to introduce some of you to, who you may have heard me talk about before. His name is Boris Johnson. He is the mayor of London, England. And not only is he the mayor of London, England, he is also a citizen of the United States because he was born in New York City. And thusly, he is eligible to be the president of the United States because, as you know, in order to be the president of the United States, you must have been born here. And yes, Barack Obama was born here out in Hawaii. Don't forget that. Now, Boris Johnson is absolutely eligible to run for president of the United States. He was on with Letterman a couple weeks ago, but I want you to see this guy. He's a complete whack job. He's a complete nutcase. He's got frizzy hair, but he's everything I would want in a politician, and I would vote for this guy in a heartbeat if he moved back to the United States and ran for president. Take a look at Boris Johnson.
Tell people what you've done for the transportation system of your city.
Well, as I hope people will discover if they come this summer, there has been massive investment in the tube network. We've put air conditioning on 40% of the tube lines, which is good because we've got a very old system. We've got a massive new fast cross-town system called Crossrail coming in. We've got a wonderful new bus. We've restored to the streets of London the hop-on, hop-off.
That's what I remember.
Do you remember? You could get drunk and fall over backwards.
That's right.
And that was banned in the name of health and safety. And we've now restored that properly.
But talk about the bicycle and the bicycle thing, which I believe is coming to New York City.
That's entirely correct.
Well, how does that work?
I'm a great fan of your mayor, of Mike Bloomberg.
Well, he's taken the fun out of Fun City.
No, I'm a big American.
Could you ban giant sodas in London?
We're not as we are. I may weigh more than Mike, but as a city, we are not quite as fat as if I can put this. I mean, not yet. I mean, I got to be honest about this. We're not there yet. Why can't you have a rule that you've got to put more ice in it?
Fine. You're talking to the wrong guy. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
But now let's get back to the bicycle thing. Yeah. I love this. They're free bikes.
Yeah. It's a communist scheme.
You ride it across town. You drop it off. You pick another one up. Ride it back home.
That's right. It's an entirely communist scheme put in by a conservative mayor, and it works beautifully.
How many bikes do you have on the streets?
We've got more than 6,000.
And it's the same thing as coming here to New York City. That's fantastic.
Right. That's right. And I congratulate Mike Bloomberg on what I hesitate to endorse. Last time he was standing for election, I came here and he was in a quite a tough fight, it turned out. And I asked him whether it would be at all useful to him for me to endorse him.
Right.
And he thought about this for a while, and then he said, on the whole, he'd much prefer it if I resoundingly endorsed his opponent. He thought that would be...
That's rude. You don't need to take that. You're a big, important man.
Anyway, but I'm a supporter nonetheless.
Yes. And and how long have you been cutting your own hair?
Listen.
I just wanted... I mean...
I think that was a low blow. I think that was a low blow. I think that was a low blow. You know, I thought,
look at mine.
Yours is true. I thought I was beginning to think I'd got through this more or less unscathed.
Yeah,
You'd mentioned the book quite a few times.
No, I think it's a lovely thing. And look, here you are in your bicycles. There you are, right there. There you go. And will you run? Are you just re-elected? How many terms can you serve as mayor?
Well, this will be my second term. It is and I've said, in fact, I regret. I've said that I won't run more than that's it.
Yeah. So is there a possibility you could become prime minister?
I think that is vanishing. I mean, I've about as much chance of being reincarnated as an olive.
I don't know why that just stopped like that. There was still more to go where he talks about being eligible to run for president of the United States because he was born here. It's a good thing I wasn't picking my nose just then. That would have been perhaps embarrassing. But that's Boris Johnson. He's the mayor of London, and as most of you know, I am a complete Anglophile. I love everything England. I wish I was born in England. I wish I lived in England. I wish I had a British accent. I wish we drove on the left, all that sort of great stuff. But I really mean it when I say this. Boris Johnson's part of the Conservative Party. Now, granted, the Conservative Party is not as conservative as you would expect. It is certainly not as conservative as the American Republican Party is. But I would vote for this guy in a heartbeat. I really would. The guy doesn't care. He doesn't have anything bad to say about people. And he's just, he remembers the principal rule about politics that I think most politicians have forgotten about these days, that it's okay to make fun of yourself and to laugh at yourself. And that's what he does on a regular basis. That's what he does. I mean, but he gets stuff done. He gets shit done, which so many politicians don't. He really does. Just take a look at this. This is Boris on LBC 97.3, my favorite radio station out of London, interviewing with Nick Ferrari, who some of you may remember from Fox News back in the day. Nick Ferrari was a Fox News contributor and worked for Rupert Murdoch. Now he's doing a show on LBC in London, interviewing Boris Johnson and asking some trivia questions, because Letterman asked questions of David Cameron, and Cameron didn't know the answer, but Boris just laughs at it. It's okay. He just laughs at it, and he just makes fun of it. Now, if I could just get it to play. About Baker Culties on one of our last programs, of course.
And just reflect on events, of course, taking place across the water, where the Prime Minister went on a trip, and he went on the David Letterman show. Boris Johnson, you're no stranger to Letterman.
And how long have you been cutting your own hair? I just wanted.
I think that was a low blow. I think that was a low blow. I think that was a low blow. You know,
look at mine.
Yours is true. I thought I was beginning to think I'd got through this more or less unscathed.
Yeah,
you know.
So you thought you got through unscathed. What about the Prime Minister?
Rural Britannia.
Yeah.
Written by whom?
You're testing me there. Elgar, I'll go for.
And the literal translation was what? You have Magna.
Again, you're testing me.
Boy, it'd be good if you knew this.
Yeah, well, it would be.
I think he was only pretending. I think he knew full well what Magna Carta translated. Yes, it was a brilliant move.
Why would he?
In order to show his demotic credentials and to show that he didn't have Latin bursting out of every orifice. And I think
was he good at Latin at school?
I have no idea. But I'm sure
you would have been fine with that.
Well, you know, I might have been.
What about Rule Britannia? Would you have got Rule Britannia right, Mr. Mayor?
Well, I had on floating around in my head somewhere. I remembered on.
Yes. So you would have got that.
You know, in exam conditions under the TV lights with a guy like Letterman looking at. I mean, it's possible. It's possible.
Okay. I mean, when you're asked questions out of the blue, you have no preparation for them. It must be fairly nerve-wracking because you have to show you're in touch with modern culture and things such as that. For instance, if I was to ask you, no, I'm not the elected official. Right. If I was to ask you, you'd know this,
right? The price of milk, 49p,
about 62.
I think it's gone up then.
I don't think you want to play this game, do you?
No,
for instance,
not at all.
As of course you are, as we know, quite rightly, fully committed to developing the London Underground. If I was to ask you when and where was the first stretch of the London Underground
Okay,
opened?
Paddington to
when and where?
1863.
Yes.
From Paddington to
oh my God! You really want
Baker Street.
Which one?
Baker Street.
Oh, you were so close.
What is it?
Farringdon.
Farringdon.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. And more contemporary, who scored the hat trick when England beat Germany in the 1966 World Cup?
Bobby Moore.
I don't think Jeff Hurst would necessarily agree with you. Okay, couple more.
That was Boris Johnson with Nick Ferrari. And listen, I just show that to you because the guy's got a sense of humor. I wish more politicians had it. Boris, to me, is the greatest guy on the planet, and I wish we would run for president. And before we go, Carmine was just talking about End of Watch. I got to see a little bit of it online over the weekend. And it's got Jake Gyllenhaal, and there's this guy who you're going to recognize him immediately, his partner. He played Officer Will Moreno in 9/11. Michael Pena. This guy is, to me, one of the best actors out there, one of the most undervalued actors out there. Just a fantastic film. I got to watch the rest of it. I just watched the first half hour. Yeah, there's a website I know where I can go and watch movies. And unfortunately, it's not the best quality, but it's cheap. And that's why I liked it. So, great film. Excellent recommendation from the one and only Carmine Cabron. Do check it out if you get a chance. End of Watch. In your movie theaters around the country. It's 58 minutes past the hour. That's going to do it for this edition of KC and 60. I want to thank those of you who are here tonight and who are in the chat room, especially Carmine Cabron, Frog Hill, Jersey Rob, and Matt Rodeman for taking part in the chat. Had a phenomenal audience for a Monday night, but don't forget, Thursday night will be the last hurrah. I do hope you'll all be able to come. And I know most of you don't call in on a regular basis and you don't shove in, but I do hope that on Thursday you will, because being able to say sort of goodbye, for you to you guys, even though we're not really saying goodbye, but just to share some memories of Shovio and Darpa, I'd really love that. And I'll give out the number right now. It's 505-6KC and 60, 505-652-4660. And I'd love to hear from Froggy. I'd love to hear from Carmine and all the regulars who are out there. But just think about it. You don't have to give an answer now, of course, but it would be great to hear from so many of you as we wrap things up Thursday night on Darpa TV. I will do another show maybe this week. And don't forget, tomorrow night, Joel the Mouth is back as well, doing his program right here as we wrap things up on the Darpa TV network and we move on to some bigger and better things. So, from downtown Port St. Lucie, Florida, Kevin Canessa signing off for now, and we hope to see you back here very, very soon. Have a good night, everybody.